Hi, welcome back. In today's tutorial we'll create a muzzle flash effect and a cool particle effect as well when the turret has locked on to its target. So let's get started. Hi guys, welcome back, and apologies again for not getting this tutorial out a little sooner. I have been playing around with this for a fair amount of time. Initially I tried to create a muzzle flash using a particle system, but as it turns out actually it's probably not the best way to do it. The better way to do it is actually to use just a plain, I guess you might call it a sprite almost, attach it to the turret and then effectively make it bigger and smaller to make it look like it's kind of flashing about. So let's do that. So what I was going to do was I was going to show you how I created this muzzle flash image in GIMP, but I won't today. If you would like me to show a tutorial on that, I'll put a link to the tutorial that I found to do this, and I'll happily redo this for GIMP 2.1 if you want me to. But for now, just assume here's the image, and what I will do is let's get that exported over to our Unity folder. Okay, and we'll call it Muzzle Flash. I'm going to call it Muzzle Flash 01 in case we want to add some more later on. For now, let's just call it Muzzle Flash 01. Click Export. Export. There we go. Okay, so here, with any luck, here we are. We have our Muzzle Flash. So what I decided to do was to basically create a 3D object, a plane. And then what we will then do is create a muzzle flash material. Let's just make that a little bit bigger, shall we? So I've got a bit more space here. It might be time to start putting some of these things in folders as well, all right? Let's create a folder. Yeah, let's create a folder. We'll call it, do you know what, for now, let's just leave that for now. Did that escape actually cancels that? I didn't know that. I thought escape would just call it new folder. So I'm going to create a material. And we'll call this muzzle flash 01 material. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll drag our muzzle flash into the albedo here. Right, and then what we'll then do is grab the muzzle flash material and apply it to there. Now you can see there's a problem. The problem is that although it was an alpha image, alpha transparency here, it's not come through as alpha here. So what we can actually do is click on here and click transparent. But you will notice, and if anybody knows the answer to this, then the image isn't completely transparent. I can almost get it transparent by changing the smoothness there. I've tried tweaking this. That doesn't do anything. So I would have thought that should be transparent here. You can see it's got a shyness. Let's just spin that across over here, and that doesn't work. I don't quite understand why it's doing that. So what the ultimate result that I did was I went for sprites default. Okay, you can see that's much better, much clearer. Obviously it's massive, so we'll need to fix that. But actually that's a reasonable looking muzzle flash. All right, so what we'll now do is we'll get our muzzle flash. Before we do that, one thing I'd like to do is start combining this turret into all of the component parts that it's going to need, because as well as needing a muzzle flash, it's also going to need a smoke particle effect, which I spoke. By the way, you may notice I've created one. I was going to delete it and start again, but I thought maybe for the sake of speed, we might as well just copy what we've got. So let's create a new empty, and we'll call this turret, and then we'll make sure that we'll set those to 0 for now, and we'll grab our turret object and pull it into turret. Now you'll notice that it has got these settings here of 1.3, so let's just set that to 0, so it's gone down. Okay, so the reason I want to do that quickly, let's just hide this as well and rename it as well. Let's rename it to Muzzle Flash 01 and just disable it for a second. So you'll see now that our turret now is the parent of the turret object. Okay, and I've cleaned up all the positions because that could hurt us later. Just double check rotations as well actually. Yeah, there's no rotations on there. Okay, so under our turret object we'll just pull this up. I think it was 1.3, wasn't it? There we go. Okay, pull that at 1.3. So there you go. So basically we're back where we were before. We've got our kind of a turret empty here that has things in it, and our turret object. So now what we can do is we can add our muzzle flash 01 to the turret and enable it. Okay, and let's position this. Well, I could 000 this out, but first of all let's get it a reasonable size. Now I found that the right size is about 0.05. The Y doesn't matter, 0.05. Let's have a little look at that. Pull it out. We can use the top views and what have you. If I just click on there and just click on orthographic, I can't remember which way is around. That hang on, why isn't it telling me whether that's orthographic or not? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll just click there like that, about there. It's worth, if I just zoom in a lot actually, it's worth getting it as close as you can to the actual muzzle itself. There we go, about there's okay, and then we'll go X. Obviously that is pulling up. We can't see it because it's too thin, so I have to pick about there-ish. And the Z. There you go, you can see we just need to pull that across a touch there. So that should be, if I now just grab here, I would say slightly to the right. The reason for that is, I think this is slightly to the left. Can you see? In fact, what we can do here, grid lines, guides, new guide. If I go for a vertical at 50%, yeah, you can see I've slightly moved. It should move slightly to the right. So for now, I'm happy with it because it doesn't matter too much because we've got it where we want it. So that's our muzzle flash. Now we need to create an effect for this muzzle flash, something that makes it look like it's not just. If I just press play now, I think I've got to maximize. Well, for a start, there's a slight issue. Can you see? The muzzle flash is not moving. The reason for that is because we've got the script attached to the turret object here. Okay, we really need to put this script onto the turret now. So let's just remove it from here. Right click, remove component, and then the turret controller here, let's drag that onto the turret. Okay, so the same rules will apply. It'll still do its locking on or whatever. Let's have a quick look, just make sure that works. There we go. I'm going to change. Oh, sorry. I'm going to change the patrol range to about 8 or something like that. So let's just try it. Okay, you can see that's the daftest looking muzzle flash, and also it's always on, whether it's targeted or not. So that's obviously we can fix these things, and we'll fix these things as we go. Sorry if I keep clicking that. Let's just do that. Bring Unity back up. There we go. I guess I should check I'm recording. Beautiful. Right. So let's write a little script that will make this do something a little bit more interesting. So let's create a script and we'll call it Muzzle Flash Controller. How about that? Muzzle Flash Controller. Well, let's get in there and do this. Okay, here we go. This should be a pretty straightforward script. I played around with this a fair amount just to try and get it right, but actually I found something that's pretty effective and is pretty much all we need, and that is just effectively change the scale of the object just along its X and Z axis, and obviously we'll have some sort of tolerance here. Remember, if I click on here, you can see it's already a scale of 0.05 and 0.05. So let's what we'll do is we'll say transform dot local scale equals new vector 3, and we'll say, I don't know, something like random dot range. Let's just try something like 0.02f to its actual size 0.05f, so that's its x-axis. Then the y would be 1f, and the z, as we've said, random dot range again. This is the z, so I don't want this to be maybe quite as variable. So let's just say 0.03f to 0.05f. Have I missed a bracket anywhere? No. Wow. Okay, quick talk about what I've done there. It's a vector 3, so you've got an x and a y and a z value, and all I've done for the x and the z is I've set a range, a random range between 0.02f and 0.05f, and if you just quickly click here you can see 0.05f is its current maximum size. And here on the z-axis, which is this one, I know it doesn't look like a z-axis, but it is. Am I right? Have I got those around the wrong way? Let's just have a look. No, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Because I haven't adjusted it. So excuse me. So I might just make that on 0.03 on the x and 0.02. Sorry, apologies. I thought I tell you why it was. It was because originally I had this around the wrong way and I was rotating it 90 degrees. So let's try that. Okay. So if we attach this script to our muzzle flash, this one, where is our script? Muzzle Flash Controller, that's it. We'll just drag that onto Muzzle Flash 01 and we'll press play. Okay, you can see that looks like something, but it doesn't look amazing. So the reason for that is possibly we don't want it to be changing the scale every single second. Also, maybe let's just try 0.02 on there as well, just to give it a bit more variation. So the way we make it so it doesn't update every single frame is, well, what we'll do is we'll have a float here, last update. Okay, and then in the start, which I deleted, which was foolish, we will say last update equals time dot time. Alright, so that's basically, if you look at that, what that means is that time there is the last time that that's the time since the game began, so to speak. Since we click play, it's the time since then. Come on. I can't show you, but basically since you click play, since the game started, if you like, that's what I'm trying to say. In our example, just since we click play. So what we can now have as well is say float update delay. And let's just try for stupid values. Let's just set it to 5 seconds for now. Alright, I think that's 5 seconds. And then we will say here, not here, here, if time dot time is greater than last update plus update delay, then we'll update this transform scale. Right, and also because we want to reset the time as well, we'll say last update equals time dot time. Okay, that should be. So what we're saying here is, if we haven't updated, if it's been 5 seconds since the last update, do another scale update and then make sure that it updates it again, so it waits another 5 seconds. I'm going to change that to 1 second. I think 5 seconds is probably a bit daft. Right, so let's give it another go. Yeah, can you see? So it is sort of updating very slowly, and obviously that's nowhere near. I was just trying to prove the point. So let's try something like 0.1 seconds. So 10 updates a second, and you can play with this obviously. That's not quite enough, is it? It looks like more interesting. Let's double the speed of that, so we'll halve the amount of wait time. Let's try that. That looks a little bit more acceptable to me. Now you can play with the values so that you've got something more that you like, or maybe you can squish this down or whatever. I think that's pretty good for my liking. Obviously it's always staying on as well. So let's fix that right now. What we'll do in our turret controller, we will add a new object. Okay, it's going to be a public game object. Muzzle flash. And we'll add a couple of lines here to say down here. So when the target's been acquired, here we'll say muzzle flash. Oh, excuse me. Come on. Dot set active to true. But when it's not active, which I think is down here, so that's the acquiring target stuff here. When it's patrolling, we'll set patrolling, or actually we also need to get rid of on target acquired as well, don't we? No, we don't want acquiring target. It's only when it's target acquired, isn't it? So here as well, we'll say muzzle flash dot set active to false. Makes sense, doesn't it? So if it's acquiring or target's acquired, well, actually, if it's acquiring, then it's not going to be active anyway. But if it's target acquired and it's out of range or whatever, then it'll stop. But by the same token, if it's actually found the target, then it's going to, where am I? Target acquired. Here, yeah, it's going to say active to true. So let's give it a go. I think, but that means by default this should be disabled. So now if we click play, that hasn't worked. So let's turn off maximize on play. It's saying unassigned reference. Yes, of course, unassigned reference. The turret does not have a reference to our muzzle flash object, even though we created it. So let's drag that in there. Makes sense. And now we'll click play again. And as soon as it's found the target, look, it engages. That's pretty cool. Hopefully when it goes out of range it'll stop. You notice by the way that I added a forward method, a forward script to our box to stop me dragging it around. Maybe I could under the angry alien here, can I disable the forward script? If I just do that and then just zoom out here a bit, I can just start moving it about and just start playing around with it a bit more. That looks good. Now I should add that quite often, let's just re-enable it for the sake of it, what you will see is rather than having it straight on like this, quite often what people will do, if I just duplicate that a couple of times, what happens is you create them at a slight angle, and this one here at -45. Reason being, that means that it should be that whenever you're facing the camera now, there should always be some of it visible. So perhaps I can show you better if I just quickly disable those two. It's not immediately obvious. I'll zoom back out again. Let's get it to roughly the right size and then click play. Let's drag it across. So it's okay there, but if I come up here, maybe you can see that that's because it's not quite seeing as much of the top as it did before. In fact, I think that it's pretty good here, isn't it? You're not going to see it too badly at all here, but there is actually that slightly thinner than here, simply because of the angle that the camera can see that material at. To be honest with you, I'm not going to do that now. I would encourage you maybe to have a little play around with that and have a think about how you might want to do that. It's just an extra added, sort of just adds a little bit of polish to it if you feel that's necessary. But for me, that's actually a pretty good looking muzzle flash. Take it out of range, and there we go. Lovely. Right, so let's turn that off, and let's just delete those two because we're adding confusion to it. So, smoke. Let's talk about smoke. I've also created a smoke image in GIMP. Again, I don't think I saved it, but it was very, very straightforward. All I did very quickly, and I did tell you I wouldn't be doing these, didn't I, was create a new transparent layer and then made sure it was white. Got the pencil, just started doing this. It's not very good, right? I know it's very blurry. In fact, I get that, right? This is the whole point, right? We'll just something like that, whatever, and then let's turn that, and then got the layer and just under filters did a blur, Gaussian blur, and I upped this to crazy levels. Not too, maybe not that much, maybe there, something like that. So okay, and then just saved that transparent image, and what I ended up with, my pictures is here. So I'll just Control C and copy that into our Blender folder. Documents, not those documents. Documents. Where are you, Unity? There you are. Assets. Control V. Go back to here, and somewhere here is our smoke. Excuse me while my printer prints stuff off. Smoke, there it is, and again looking a bit weird. So let's add a material for it. Create material, where are you, material? There you are, smoke material. I had the same problem. I can drag the smoke into the smoke albedo here, but it doesn't. If I just quickly, I won't do it. But basically, it's the same problem as the muzzle flash. Yeah, this is not a it's not a working shader for some reason. I don't know quite why. So again, I'll go sprites and default. Okay, and let's talk about our smoke here. What I'll do basically is I will enable it like that, and you can see that it's there. Let's just drag it into our turret object as well, so it's there. And if I just click on play, yeah, well, the problem that we've got is that we haven't got our smoke material in there. So let me quickly grab that in there, and under the renderer here, I will click on the somewhere here. It's the materials missing. There we go. So I'll just drag the material into there, and here we go. You can see we've got ourselves a smoke effect. So let's just talk about how I did this. Okay, so basically probably the best bit is for you to create a particle system. Just right click, create effects particle system. Okay, and you can attach that to the Well, you can. I've actually attached it to an empty. The reason being, I could have attached it to the turret potentially. I could attach it to the turret potentially. It doesn't actually matter. I'll show you why in a minute. Just to keep it separate, I could have attached it to the turret, to be honest with you, but I created an empty and put it in there. So if we look at this here, what are we saying? We're saying the duration is 10. Looping, we want it to be looping. Start delay 0, start lifetime 4. I mean, maybe it's better if you just copy these values. Start speed 0.1, 0.1. Emission, I went for 200. You can play around with these figures, by the way. So you just set 400 and see what happens. It looks a lot thicker. You might see this weird effect like that, where it's kind of puffing, and that's because the max particles there. So just play around, see what you think. I like particles because you can really have a good play around and not really mess things up. The best thing is you just copy it if you're not sure. Okay, so shape, I think I went for a cone emitter, angle 15, radius very, very small. Shape, yeah, we've done that one. Color over lifetime, so this is basically the alpha. Top one here. On the last bit here, this is the end, this is the start, this is the end. Just set the alpha to 0. You'll see at the start the alpha is 255. Basically, that means it's basically fading out. Yeah, and I think you can actually make it kind of fade out a little bit more at the end by adding another clicker like that. How do you delete these clickers? No idea. Delete. Here we go. Yeah, so you can add extra clickers if you want, but we don't need to now. So let's get rid of that. What else? Size over lifetime. I made it. This is an interesting one. If you click on here and just say it's a curve and click on the curve, I just went so that it slowly gets bigger. That's this one. Rotation. Yes, a little bit of rotation. So it's spinning around. I could just say constant. I don't know why that's got round in between two values. I could get between two values. I'll say 0 and 45. 0 and 180 maybe, I don't know. Make it spin a bit more, doesn't really matter. And then the other one is of course the renderer. The only thing I changed in here was to pull that smoke material in. Okay, just so that it looks like something. You can actually go for the default material. If I click on here, there is a default particle, I think it's called default particle, there we go. Doesn't look quite so good, does it? So let's spin back to smoke. Where are you? There you are. Yeah. Alright, so have a click play now. Let's see what happens. I think the particle system will be permanent. Oh, this particle system is currently disabled, so let's enable it. It's not disabled, so why was that not showing? Hang on, let's just do maximize on play. It's not doing. I need to move you maybe. Hang on. Possibly, I tell you why. It's because it is not set to play on awake. That is correct, but for testing, I'll just quickly show you. There we go. You can see now the smoke's appeared. There we go. Now, one thing just to bear in mind is that although that looks quite thick and daft, this turret will probably never stay still. So if I just press turn that off and just press play and zoom out here, and just move this about a bit. Keep an eye on the left hand side. You can kind of see there's a kind of particle tracing, and I really like that. In fact, if I turn this off and re-enable under my angry alien, if I re-enable the forward script to maximize on play, let's have a little look, see how this looks. I mean, I know the smoke's permanently going to be on, I think. I mean, that looks pretty cool to me. I like the way that looks. You don't have to do the particle effect, by the way, and you see, it's still playing. This is the problem. So let's make sure we can turn that off as well. So in our turret controller here, we'll also add a link to the particle effect. Public particle system muzzle smoke particle system. Alright, and then where we activate and deactivate here, so where we're setting this to true, I'll also say muzzle smoke particle system dot play. You notice we're not setting active and deactivating it. Play and stop is what we need here. Play and stop basically means that you won't suddenly just come to an abrupt end and all the smoke will disappear. Stop will basically just stop firing the emitters. So there's what we want, the one there, and under here we'll do the same thing. We'll say muzzle smoke particle system dot stop. If we go to here and press play now, I've got maximize on play. And you'll notice that it started off smoking as well, and the reason for that, or maybe you didn't, I'm hoping that that will now disappear. It seems to still be playing, so I think that might be because I've got play on awake set. That doesn't help. Right, let's try it now. Now it's not even showing. Okay, why is that? I put my I said play, didn't I, up here? Muzzle smoke particle system. Oh, we're going to need a reference to it. I don't know, I made the same mistake I made before. In fact, we can see the errors there. So I just need to drag the smoke, sorry if you spotted that, into the particle system. Sorry about that. And now there we go. So it starts playing when it's got the target active. And I really like that smoke effect, I've got to say. I was thinking maybe it was unnecessary, but I really like it. I really like that. Guys, that is all I'm going to do for today. In the next episode then we're going to start modelling out an alien that we're going to use to run across a series of those aliens in a true tower defense style. We'll start creating waves of aliens that are going to move across the screen. We can get very excited about that. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks guys for watching. As always, a like and a subscribe are very much loved. Please put any comments, any questions. I'll create a link to the Unity package so that you can download this and play with it for yourself without having to do the coding as well. So guys, thanks very much for watching. Catch you next time. Bye bye.